The transcendental truth of reality, taken from the ancient reality teachings as revealed by the Avataric great sage Adidar Samraj. The Mahayana Vimsika, or 20 verses on the great vehicle, is traditionally ascribed to the Buddhist philosopher Nagarjuna, who lived in South India in the 2nd to 3rd century. There is insufficient evidence to definitively establish the historicity of this ascription. Nagarjuna founded the Madhyamaka school of Buddhism, a philosophical movement which emphasized the doctrine of the middle way, Madhyamaka, and the teaching of emptiness, Sunyatavada. Originally composed in Sanskrit, the text survives in multiple variants in Sanskrit, Chinese, and Tibetan, which differ in the number and content of the verses. 1. The transcendently enlightened master, at the origin of the tradition of Buddhist teachings, is honored by the title Buddha, signifying one who is self-illuminated mind, who is of self-illuminated mind. A Buddha is a perfect renunciate, transcending all attachment to conditional existence. The state of a Buddha is limitless and perfectly capable to self-illuminate the minds of all beings. By virtue of inherently compassionate heartfulness, a Buddha self-reveals the otherwise unspeakable transcendental or non-conditional and acausal truth of all beings. 2. In the transcendental state of non-conditional condition, that is, truth itself, there is no conditionality, no conditional causation, no arising of conditional effects of conditional causation, and no cessation or coming to an end of any conditional effects of conditional causation. A true Buddha or transcendently self-illuminated master is, by virtue of the self-illuminated transcendental state that characterizes the transcendental truth itself, not other than the transcendental state that is truth itself. Therefore, a true Buddha is only the transcendental truth itself, inherently without conditionality and therefore inherently free of the conditional characteristic of either being or having been caused to exist, or otherwise being or having been caused to not exist. Even all beings are of the same essential nature as any true Buddha, because every true Buddha is identical to the transcendental truth of all. 3. The non-conditional condition of all is not the cause of this or any other conditionally apparent world. Every conditionally apparent entity or form or world of entities and forms originates only and entirely from or as a caused result of other or previous conditions. Only conditional causes originate conditional effects. There is no perfectly prior causative nature or creator God underlying whatever is conditionally appearing. What is underlying and perfectly prior to the transcendental truth, the Buddha nature, the perfectly acausal or inherently actionless and non-conditional condition of all conditions, or of all conditional and mutually dependent causes and effects. Therefore, the non-conditional condition of all conditions is, in and of itself, formless and empty, or void of conditional and causative characteristics. This understanding or non-conditional knowledge of the transcendental truth of reality is the unique transcendental knowledge that is self-evident to a true transcendentally self-illuminated master, whose knowledge is inherently perfect. 4. The transcendental or non-conditional and acausal or inherently actionless condition of all conditionally appearing appearing entities, forms, and worlds is, as such, like a mirror, in which all conditionally caused appearances are like mere reflections. When mere reflections are seen from the perspective of the mirror, in which they are indifferently reflected, they are found or understood to be of the same nature as the mirror itself. Therefore, right understanding knows all conditionally apparent or conditionally caused entities, forms, and worlds non-conditionally or causally, and thus, as essentially formless, empty of the implications of apparent conditional characteristics, non-dual, or free of the effects of the apparent dynamics of mutually opposite qualities or motions, and always already as is, or inherently without change or impermanence. 5. Those who are without right understanding, and yet bound to the implications of conditionally apparent causes and effects, appearing to their view as impermanent and limited entities, forms, worlds, experiences, and states, attribute separate, independent existence, and even existence as a separate self, to what is not separate, not independent, and not self, but which is only a mutually dependent and indivisible and merely apparent reflection in the transcendental, or a causal condition, of all mutually caused conditions. Indeed, those who are without right understanding, and who are thus not only apparently in, but also effectively of the world, are likewise bound to all kinds of equally wrong or deluded and ego-bound views, wherein and whereby happiness is sought where it is not to be found, and misery is found within it, wherein it is not in truth existing, and detachment is presumed when it is not truly achieved, and self-discipline is engaged merely as a method of desiring, and deliberation is thought to be a causable condition of body and mind. 6. In the transcendental condition that is reality and truth, no kind of born existence is caused or experienced, no ascent to high or highest planes of conditional happiness is sought or attained, and no descent to low or lowest planes of conditional suffering is either avoided or endured. This is the case entirely, and only because, or as an inherent characteristic of the inherent nature, or non-conditional, and a causal state of the transcendental condition that is reality and truth. 7. In the transcendental condition that is reality and truth, there is no presumption or idea that actions will, in accordance with their characteristic quality or intent, cause change, either in the form of suffered results, such as disease, old age, and death, or in the form of positively desired results, such as health, longevity, immortality, or even happiness or liberation itself. This is the case entirely and only because ideas and active seeking and even action itself are not characteristics of the inherent nature or non-conditional and a causal state of the transcendental condition that is reality and truth. 8. It is only because of their lack of right understanding or tacit realization of the inherent nature or non-conditional and a causal state of the transcendental condition of reality and truth that conditionally born beings are deluded by the appearance of conditionally arising entities, forms, worlds, experiences, and states. As a thus caused result of their lack of right understanding, conditionally born beings embrace wrong or merely conditionally based views, or ideas, intentions, desires, and goals of causative seeking. Only on that conditional basis do apparently born beings seek and only temporarily achieve positive and negative planes and states of conditionally caused experience. Thus, Conditionally born beings variously and always only temporarily experience conditionally causable results or conditions, entirely and only in accordance with the illusions they presume and embrace and activate. The world of conditional possibilities, both high and low, is itself entirely an illusion or a mere reflection in the transcendental condition that is reality and truth. Therefore, the world of conditional possibilities, both high and low, exists only apparently and not necessarily, and entirely as a merely apparent result or effect of the causes or conditions that are presumed or otherwise not transcended by virtue of tacit right understanding. 9. As an artist might become terrified by a self-deluded encounter with a material creation or self-fabricated illusion of his or her own mind and making, so also the inherently foolish or self-deluded ego I, or self-presumed separate self-entity, is constantly anxious and afraid in the world of conditionally arising entities, forms, experiences, and states. That is to say, the anxiety and fear inherent in the experience of egoity or of self-separateness are entirely and only conditionally caused, and thus caused as a result of a false understanding or a lack of right understanding of the conditionally arising world and of the inherent nature or non-conditional and a causal state of the transcendental condition of reality and truth. Therefore, fear itself and all world anxiety are merely the self-caused results of false knowledge or wrong understanding, and as this insight suggests, fear itself and all worldly anxiety can be transcended by means of right knowledge or right understanding and tacit realization of the inherent nature of the transcendental condition of reality and truth. 10. As a careless person may casually and inadvertently lose his or her life by stepping into a deadly trap, such as a swamp of sucking mud or a torrentially flooded mountain stream, so also all ego-bound beings inevitably waste and eventually lose their lives in the problem-based mind and the countlessly self-caused dilemmas of their life entrapment. Indeed, the ego I cannot escape the trap of mortal bondage unless the illusion of egoity or of self-separateness itself is transcended by means of right knowledge or right understanding and tacit realization of the inherent nature of the transcendental condition of reality and truth. 11. The discomfortable feelings associated with the dilemmas of self-delusion are the results of casually and irrationally presuming merely imagined things to exist in objective fact. All self-caused bondage or self-presumed entrapment is the direct result of false knowledge, wherein and whereby separate, independent and objective existence is attributed to conditionally arising forms, entities, experiences and states, all of which are only and entirely of the nature of the transcendental or non-conditional reality and truth. Therefore, ego-bound or self-presumedly separate entities or conditionally apparent beings always discomfort and even torment and eventually destroy themselves by means of a false understanding of apparent or merely conditionally arising forms, entities, experiences and states of all possible kinds. Only right knowledge or right understanding of conditionally apparent forms, entities, experiences and states, and coincidentally tacit realization of the inherent nature of the transcendental condition of reality and truth is or tacitly realizes the inherent transcending of all illusions of objective or of separate and independent existence. 12. As right understanding works to cure the heart of false knowledge and self-delusion, more and more one looks upon the otherwise helpless world through the purified eyes of right knowledge. that glance of hard comprehension is inevitably touched with overwhelming sympathies that motivate and grow right life. Therefore, if you grow to view the world of conditionally born beings from the position of the rightened heart, the heart's inherent compassion will itself require and oblige you to exercise all your life in the magnification of right understanding of conditional existence as an illusory or non-separate appearance within the non-conditional or transcendental condition of all. Thus, and merely by means of your own exercise of right life, based on right understanding or right knowledge, you also serve the heart cure of even all conditionally born beings. 13. When one's own mind and life have become right, purified and balanced, by means of the inherently compassionate heart exercise of right understanding, then the necessary fundamental prerequisites for the potential life of the true Buddha have been established. When one is, thereafter, in due course set perfectly free from all bondage and all false knowledge, such that only right knowledge or fullest right understanding of conditional existence and tacit perfect realization of the inherent nature of the transcendental condition of reality and truth characterizes the heart, the mind, and the life, then one has become perfectly capable, a true Buddha, a perfect friend of all who otherwise suffer the countlessly enumerated consequences of egoic self-causation and egoically self-caused knowledge. 14. A true Buddha tacitly realizes the transcendental truth by means of the exercise of right understanding of the universally evident cause and effect cycle, or the vast mutually dependent pattern of conditionally arising existence, wherein living beings appear and struggle and die, always in exact accordance with their states of mind or self-presumed knowledge, and their thus determined actions within the vast impermanence of even all conditionally caused conditions. Because the true Buddha attains tacit realization of a transcendental truth by means of the exercise of right understanding of the universally evident and mutually dependent cycle of cause and effect, a true Buddha is characterized by right understanding of the conditionally arising world of entities, forms, experiences, and states, and thus by the inherently right knowledge that all apparent conditions are inherently without separateness and independence, and that no apparent condition is discretely definable or really self-limited by any separately self-existing beginning, middle, or end, and that, indeed, because there is neither separateness nor independence anywhere or in and of anything, all of conditional existence, whether of the world or of the presumed ego I, is characterized by non-separateness and mutual interdependence, inherently void or empty of real entification or separate and quantifiable selfness. 15. The arising of cause conditions is merely conditionally apparent. Just so, even the cessation of cause conditions due to counter-causation or non-causation, and also the evident non-arising of cause conditions, is merely conditionally apparent. Whether cause conditions arise or not, the experience or the knowing of the evidence in either case is itself a merely conditionally caused or conditionally evident phenomenon or state. Therefore, neither conditionally existence nor any kind of process whereby conditional existence is avoided or by any means made to cease is the way of the truth. Truth itself is of an inherently transcendental nature, inherently or always already formless, non-conditional, actionless, not caused, and self-illuminated or perfectly self-enlightened, accordingly by virtue of its own intrinsic true and very self-nature. 16. the evidently perceived objects experienced or known in the conditional state of dreaming are no longer perceived when the conditional state of ordinary waking becomes the basis for the presumption of knowledge. That is to say, from the point of view of the waking state, the objects or the states of conditional knowledge otherwise perceived or presumed in the state of dreaming do not exist. Similarly, in the case of one in whom even the waking state ignorance or wrong understanding of the world of conditionally arising appearances is transcended by means of the self-illumination inherent in the transcendental or non-conditional condition of reality and truth, even the totality of conditional existence and all of waking, dreaming and sleeping objects or states does not exist. In the self-illuminated condition of transcendental or non-conditional reality and truth, there is inherently or intrinsically no conditional causation, no conditional arising, and therefore no conditional existence. 17. Whatever may be the immediate or otherwise ultimate cause of an illusion, the illusion is nevertheless a mere illusion. When everything is an illusion, or a mere and complex result of conditionally evident causes, then no thing or object or form or entity or state or world is existing as such. That is to say, conditionally caused things or beings or worlds do not exist as separate things or beings or worlds, but only the transcendental or non-conditional and acausal and non-dual and non-separate reality and truth is the case, even if conditionally caused things or beings or worlds appear or seem to arise. Only the non-conditional transcendental condition is the condition of all conditionally apparent conditions. 18. A living being, necessarily originating as a non-separate process, due to the universal interdependent cycle of conditional causes and effects, does not self-originate or arise as a result of separate and independent self-causation. The idea of separate self-existence as an independent self-entity or quantifiable ego I is an illusion, an everywhere common sign evident in the human world due to the universal absence of right understanding of conditional existence and right knowledge or tacit realization of the transcendental nature of reality and truth. All ideas of the separateness, the independence, and the ultimate or eternal self-existence of the conditionally arising world and all it contains are ignorant or wrongly knowing and rationally unsupportable thoughts. Likewise, the idea of the separateness, the independence, and the ultimate or eternal self-existing of any kind of quantifiable self or ego I is an ignorant or wrongly knowing and rationally unsupportable thought. 19. All that arises conditionally and thus and thereby appears as the evident experience of anyone is, as such, merely an idea or a conditional state of mind. Therefore, all conditional experience, because it is entirely a conditionally caused state of mind, is an illusion, or a course of wrong knowledge of conditional existence, and a course of egoic self-delusion, or the non-knowing of the transcendental or non-conditional condition of reality and truth. Thus, from wrong knowledge and from egoic self-delusion, or that absence of the tacit realization of the transcendental nature of reality and truth, all conditionally causative actions arise, and all results develop in time and space, in accordance with the positive or negative characteristics of the various states of mind and of self-presumed knowledge that underlie and cause the actions themselves. 20. If the action causing ideas in mind are brought under control, then action itself and even the action-caused things of experience are brought under control. This evidence, which can be readily demonstrated by anyone at all, proves that things, or the conditionally caused apparent experiences of forms, entities, functions, states, and worlds, have no separate and independent existence or self-existence in, of, and as themselves. That is to say, even all conditionally arising or caused phenomena are of a non-separate nature, existing only in, of, and as the non-conditional, transcendental condition of reality and truth. 21. In the case of everyone who is yet possessed in mind by action causing ideas, desires, and seeking control their life, all such living beings inhabit the mental darkness of a universal ocean of illusions, utterly unaware of the sub-illuminated truth of the inherently non-conditional and acausal nature of reality itself. As long as the mind remains possessed by the absence of right knowledge, the darkness of wrong knowledge will yet cause the bondage to all causes and effects. Therefore, the idea of separate beings and the idea of separate ego I are the causes in mind that ceaselessly reassert the appearance of conditional existence itself. 22. No one is able to transcend the oceanic mass of wrong knowing except by means of right knowledge only. 23. No one who is firmly established in right knowledge, tacitly realizing the non-conditional, transcendental state of reality and truth, and who thus and thereby inherently rightly understands the conditional and not self-existing nature of the world, will any more cause wrong knowing in the heart and mind and life, or act wrong knowing in the world of seeming here and some more. Da.